Oh, here comes the man probably to tell us off. Hello everyone, welcome to Bahrain. Sorry. Hello everyone. Done it again. Hello everyone, welcome to Bahrain for day 2 of Formula 1 testing for the 2025 season. Alex, there's a couple of things you want to get us stuck into. 3 teams. Who impressed you today, please?
3 teams that impressed me today. Well, I'm going to be a bit convoluted and do them in the wrong order. In terms,
Alex.
I think I'm nothing but convoluted. But anyway,
okay, come on.
3 teams. We are sat at their hospitality unit, and this is not a plug for them or a thank for them for anything. But yeah, one team that I think that really did stand out was McLaren. Not there in terms of the top of the times, because the one little bit of performance running they did do, Lando Norris ended up aborting it late on in the session. But their long run pace, just so impressive at the end of the day. Did a slightly different programme to what Ferrari and Mercedes were doing. They were incredibly evenly matched, those 2 teams, within a tenth of each other in terms of all 3 stints they did of a race simulation. McLaren doing things slightly differently, longer runs over a couple of stints, so still set fuel loads, but yeah, just on the averages they're seconds up, which it's not comparable, but the fact that the times were getting so much quicker as really long stints wore on suggests that car is in a really good place.
There's another 2 teams that have caught your eye, and they are?
Absolutely. Well, one of them, again, not troubling the top of the times, but Aston Martin. I spent a lot of time trackside today, and just looking at that car, it's done exactly what they wanted it to do. They've said to their drivers, tell us really what you want and how we can help make things better for you. And they really do seem to have listened to them, because they wanted a predictable car, a car that just is consistent and is not going to suddenly turn around and kick them. And from what I could see down at turn 10, it's 9 and then 10 the double left, every single time Fernando Alonso in the morning, he's just whipping it through so smooth. It's
that consistency, isn't it, over every lap?
Absolutely, and it's not necessarily fast, as like I said, not reflected in the times, but from a solid level, solid basis, that's really encouraging for Aston.
We should also say, because it is windy here, it's not like normal conditions for Bahrain. We've got a bit of wind, we've got a bit of damp weather around as well, which I know we're going to come on to, but to be able to replicate that lap after lap is so crucial at this stage, isn't it, for the data gathering? Completely,
and that's actually why I wanted to just very quickly go back to McLaren, because I asked Lando Norris in the press conference at lunchtime about what he's sort of feeling, because it looks like the car is rotating in really, really nicely, but the rear is sliding around. He said, yeah, that's exactly what we're feeling. But after McLaren, in the words of one of our sources, the car was in bits over lunchtime. I mean, it was night and day difference. So when I was looking at the end of the day during that long run, the rear end was the rear end was perfect. And if anything, it was the Ferrari that I noticed that was really sliding. But yeah, team number 3, well, top of the times, Williams. How can you not be impressed by that? Okay, no one's really done any genuine performance running, and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc probably could have gone a bit quicker on the C4s, but he came across an RB. But Carlos Sainz topping the times. James Vowles was bouncy and confident in the press conference, and Sainz doing the highest lap total of anyone, 127 laps. It's a far cry from Williams testing woes of old.
Well, it's also a big morale boost, isn't it? After a disappointing end to last season, sort of running out of steam, all the crashes and everything else that was going on. This is the sort of moment that they needed, just to give everyone a bit of a lift.
Exactly.
Coming into the new season.
Well, Ben, we're in front of the Red Bull hospitality. It was interesting being sat in the press conference over the lunch hour, because Max Verstappen facing the media for the first time publicly since F1 75, and the booing that he received, Christian Horner in particular received. Toto Wolff, a man who potentially might still be trying to sign Max Verstappen.
Well, what gave you that idea when he turned around and said, I think the booing was for one person only? It was pretty clear that, I think, for everyone that was there and watching online, that it was Max getting a bit of a treatment as well. So, but not according to Toto.
No, indeed. And obviously, we can resist the opportunity to stick the knife in with Mr. Horner. But no, I think what we actually want to talk about is actually Max's reaction to it, because he basically gave no comment, but he did it in a very sort of flippant Max style. He seemed to be in one of his good moods, particularly
mischievous.
His good friend Lando Norris was sat alongside.
Yeah, I thought it was mischievous, chippy performance. He turned around and said, someone asked him, what did you think of the booing? And tell a lie, he said, what did you think of the F1 75? And he said, I thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Of course it was tongue-in-cheek, of course we knew. People started laughing in the room. He was then asked again about the booing, And he said, what booing? Didn't hear anything. So obviously he's having a bit of fun. You can even read it two ways. Sometimes I guess you could say, he's being a bit chippy, maybe a bit cocky, and if people read it that way, that's one way. There could be other school of thought that maybe he is just confident and having fun. And as you mentioned, he was sat next to Lando Norris, and they joked about having a pub fight over their various different spats from last year. So I think generally he's in a good mood. He must be pleased with what he's experienced this week in the car. He's the defending world champion again, and it's a decidedly different feeling within this Bahraini paddock from 12 months ago when his dad's saying his son's going to be leaving the team, and obviously all the row and everything that was going on in the background. So a markedly different Max Verstappen 12 months on.
You mentioned what he said on the feelings with the car, and I actually thought that was revealing as well, because he's much more guarded than he was this time a year ago, and I think that reflects the fact that he knows Red Bull, while it seems better, because he delivered it in the classic Max style of, well, it couldn't be any worse than last year, but we are fairly satisfied from what we've seen, based on it trackside, from looking at the times and the data, that the Red Bull is better, and it does seem more benign. Again, a big caveat, it always goes well in Bahrain, but Max being guarded just reflects the fact that he knows he's in a fight, and probably a very, very tight fight, again with McLaren, and probably with other teams as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, obviously they talk about convergence, and they know that they're going to be under pressure from a lot of the others. They've also got a slightly untested teammate alongside him in Liam Lawson. So I think they have reasons to be concerned, a little bit sceptical as to how good everything's going to shake out. Of course, we won't know until the first qualifying session in Melbourne. But
that's F1 pre-season bingo there.
What's that?
It's that cliche.
It is. It is. I apologise for that. I'm sure they're hoping that it's as fast as it looks, Alex.
There's another one. Yeah.
No, look. I think just generally the mood there seems to be bright. But yes, definitely guarded. The approach that they've had to the launch. If you saw those renders online, there wasn't too many details about the car in them. Very well shot, probably by Mark Thompson from Getty Images, my friend. But yes, I was not surprised to see that. But obviously the way that they did their shakedown here as well, Bahrain not usually a destination for them to do a shakedown. So yeah, quite interesting to see how they're reacting.
The last one we sort of wanted to get into, again, it reflects how we were yesterday talking about the power cut. And there's another absurd situation. This test has had a bit of a weird feel, and I know because we're British and ridiculous we go on about the weather, but there's just these strange things keep happening in this test that just rarely happen or haven't happened in recent years. Obviously you had the power cut yesterday, you never want to see that, and it's a freak occurrence. But what happened today was, in the desert in Bahrain, where I've always got
it rained.
Ludicrously sunburned. It rained, yeah, exactly. And
the clues in the title, Alex. I mean, Bahrain, we should have seen it coming, shouldn't we?
This is very true. This is very true. But it just led to this ridiculous spectacle of, even if the cars in the pits, obviously, because it was heavy enough for them to not be able to continue circulating on slick tyres. But at that stage, potentially only two teams could have then gone out, and only one did. And that was Haas, put some intermediates on Esteban Ocon's car, or on the car Esteban Ocon was in, and Aston Martin. They're the only two teams with wet weather tyres at this test. And the reason why is perfectly reasonable. It's the fact that because this isn't the season opener, the race sets where wet tyres are mandated, whether it's a race like this where there's very rarely rain or not, they're always brought to every event. Couldn't even use those as a backup because this isn't the first race. Those tyres are in Australia, and that's all planned. It's not like it's just there's Pirelli's no point shipping race sets here and whatnot. So the teams were given the choice: 35 sets, use them as they will. Only Haas and Aston chose to do it, and ultimately, you're not going to learn a huge amount by doing wet weather running and testing, but you'll always learn something. And it's interesting, like Esteban Ocon talking about the fact that driver cooling shirt doesn't really fit. Like little things that you will learn that you necessarily might know elsewhere. Just there, they missed it. And again, it just feels like just a bit chaotic, just a bit odd, and just very F1. Or actually, no, it's not. It's the opposite. It's like it's the teams, the organisations that think of everything. According to Pirelli, at least, they relied too much on the fact that it hasn't rained here previously, and just not going with it.
Every day is a school day. We should know that by now, shouldn't we?
Indeed.
Tomorrow, final day. What are you looking forward to for tomorrow? Final day of the test.
I'm really looking forward to seeing something from Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton very quick this morning. The morning running isn't as representative, isn't as crucial as the evening stuff when the track's really rubbered in and the temperatures come down even further. But yeah, Ferrari yet to show me something wow, and that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm hoping will happen tomorrow, because that would just help elevate the narratives and the storylines going into the season.
Awesome, thank you. Check back tomorrow to see if Alex is right and that Ferrari can come to the party and show that they've got what it takes to challenge Max Verstappen and we think Lando Norris based on today's performance for the world title.